There comes a moment in life when something inside you gets quiet, not peaceful, quiet. The kind of quiet where distractions stop working, where the noise of the world fades for a second, and a deeper question rises. Not from fear, from truth. The question sounds something like this. What am I actually doing with my life? Not your job title, not your paycheck, not what people see from the outside, but what you're actually doing with the life that was entrusted to you. Because there comes a moment when drifting stops feeling comfortable and responsibility begins to feel like a calling. Welcome back to the Eminence Legacy podcast. I'm host Luis Cadena Jr. and today we're talking about something most people sense but very few people answer: the call back to responsibility. Let's talk about the villain most people never recognize. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not even lack of opportunity. The real villain is something quieter, something subtle, passive living. The belief that life will eventually sort itself out. That clarity will show up someday, somehow. That purpose will reveal itself if you just wait long enough. But here's the truth. Life rarely rewards people who wait for direction. See, life moves forward for people who claim responsibility. And that's where most people struggle. Because responsibility feels heavy. It feels like pressure. It feels like expectation. But what if responsibility is not pressure? What if it's an invitation? Let me explain something most people misunderstand. Responsibility is not about control. It's about ownership. Ownership of your time. Ownership of your discipline. Ownership of your character. Ownership of your influence. Because whether people admit it or not, everyone is shaping something with their life. Some people are shaping growth. Some people are shaping regret, but nobody's shaping nothing. And that's why responsibility matters. Because drifting through life is still shaping something, some way, somehow. Just not intentional. Think about a moment in your life where you realized something needed to change. Not because someone told you, but because something inside you knew it. That moment when you saw clearly that the life you were living was no longer the life you wanted to keep repeating. Maybe it was decision. Maybe it was discipline. Maybe it was habit. Maybe it was a relationship. Maybe it was simply the realization that the time was passing and you were still waiting to start. Those moments feel uncomfortable, but they are not accidents. They are invitations. Invitations to step out of drift and into your stewardship. Let me give you a question that changes everything. Ask yourself tonight, not casually, honestly, what responsibilities has my life been inviting me to claim? Maybe it's your discipline. Maybe it's your leadership. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your faith. Whatever answer comes up, that is not pressure. That is direction. Because responsibility is not something forced on you. It's something that calls you forward. Now I want you to visualize something. Imagine your life 5 years from now. 2 different directions. In one direction, nothing changes. Same habits, same patterns, same avoidance, same quiet frustration. Now in the other direction, you accept responsibility. You begin making choices. You begin making decisions that align with who you know you're capable of becoming. Which version of the future feels more honest? Because responsibility does not just change outcomes. It changes your identity. Let's lock this in. 3 truths from today's conversation. Number 1, passive living is a real villain. Number 2, responsibility is not pressure. It's an invitation. Number 3, stewardship begins the moment you claim ownership of your life. Before we close today, think about someone in your life right now. Someone who might need strength, perspective, or direction. Sometimes the right conversation at the right moment changes everything. If this conversation gave you clarity today, pass it forward. The right insight in the right mind can ripple further than we ever see, because this podcast grows one way and one way only. When people who believe in truth move it forward, not for numbers, not for attention, but because clarity deserves to travel. So if today's conversation meant something to you, send it to one person who needs strength, direction, or clarity. Because that's how legacy moves. Voice to voice, life to life. This is the Eminence Legacy podcast. And remember, together, let's rise to your eminence. Catch you on the next one.